will now be placed into conference. There are 9 participants in the conference.
All righty, I guess we could start off again. This is the Marijuana Control Board, Day 2, May 2nd, meeting in Anchorage, Alaska. Could we get a roll call, please?
Mr. Springer?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Miller?
Here.
Ms. McConnell? Here. Ms. Milks? Here. And I am Ms. Milton.
Okay, very good. And for the record, once again, our law enforcement member, Lieutenant Jaime, is downstate, so not with us, and we have a current vacancy in the committee. So, Director, you had a couple comments to make?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. Given the press coverage of the arms and absent issue, I just wanted to make a few comments that I hope will be clarifying. Looking at the statutory authorities for the board and persons employed by the board in both Chapter 1738 and in Title IV, 1738, 131 says, the director and persons employed for the administration and enforcement of this chapter may, with the concurrence of the Commissioner of Public Safety, exercise the powers of peace officers when those powers are specifically granted by the board. Powers granted by the board under this section may be exercised only when necessary for the enforcement of the criminally punishable provisions of this chapter, other criminal statutes relating to substances or activities regulated or permitted under this chapter, regulations of the board, other criminally punishable laws and regulations relating to marijuana. And if you recall, in the purpose of Chapter 1738, the purpose, one of the purposes is marijuana is regulated so that the production and sale of marijuana is done by legitimate tax-paying business people and not criminal actors. We get a lot of misunderstanding of, why does our enforcement officers need to carry guns? Why do they go into a licensed premises carrying a gun? The issue with being armed and having access to these databases that relate to law enforcement activity and criminal justice information isn't about going into a licensed premises and working with the licensee. It's about the efforts of our enforcement staff to help wrest the marijuana industry out of the black market and into the legitimate market. And you heard yesterday requests that there be more attention paid to black market operators. Enforcing criminally punishable provisions against non-licensees is a law enforcement power, and it requires the tools and the safety protections that are afforded to law enforcement. And that is why access to law enforcement databases and the tools and the supplies that are used by police officers and state troopers and other peace officers are so important for our AMCO investigators. It's a similar situation on the alcohol side where you have a similar language where it talks about criminally punishable provisions of Title IV, regulations of the board, other criminally punishable laws and regulations, including investigation of violations of laws against prostitution and sex trafficking, and laws against gambling, promoting gambling, and related offenses. So to send individuals out to enforce laws against prostitution and gambling, bootlegging, other sorts of things without the proper tools and information that is provided to other law enforcement is just irresponsible. So I hear from licensees, why do they need this to come and talk to me about running my licensed business? And I just want to say that's not really the focus of this issue. The focus of this issue is their statutory requirements to enforce against unlicensed operators on both the alcohol and the marijuana side. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I know I'll echo everything she said. He said absent in arms, and in case somebody doesn't, when we say arms, we're not talking about guns. We're talking about the record management system. But I think it was instructive to hear what the statutory authority that the AMCO enforcement officers have under Title IV, under alcohol. That's awfully broad. And when they are out working, they're not putting on a marijuana hat and taking it off and putting on an alcohol hat. You know, their badge says alcohol and marijuana. So they do actually have some pretty broad authority that's important to the state. It's not, the alcohol authority isn't quite as broad as what they have for marijuana, but nevertheless, they don't wear two hats. They wear one hat. So just, you know, and we haven't heard a lot of grousing about them from industry, I don't think, lately. So anyways, thank you, Director. That was good. Okay, we are going to go to hire by bad grammar. Are they here? Or are they on the phone?
Mr. Chair, if you wouldn't mind announcing the tab that we're on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you bet. Yeah, it's tab 28.
Just so the folks at home could follow along.
Yep, tab 28. Yeah, actually, some people are keeping track by tab number. So, we turn the phone.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Good morning. Hire by bad grammar represented on the phone this morning. This is Marijuana Control Board. We're looking for hire by bad grammar. Who doesn't seem to be there, so we will get back to them. Which brings us to Tip Top.
Tab 32.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Tab 32, Tip Top from Anchorage. Are you on the phone? No Tip Top, so I guess we'll invite the man at the tilt to join us up here at the table.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
You're on the agenda twice. You're on tab 33, and you're also tab 94. Put it in a warp drive and do both tabs for you this morning. So these are all new products. Go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll find ourselves here.
Eric Reamer, Director of Stony Moose Kitchens.
Okay, and you've got 11 products on the first one here.
So the products that I have that were tabled at the Juneau meeting are predicated by the creation of the one product in tab 94. So I don't know if it would make sense to do that one first.
Maybe we should do that first, yes. Okay, let's jump to tab 94 then. Well, you are the last thing on there. Okay. This is for in-house vegetable glycerin.
Yeah, the VG is, it's just a carrier for the THC.
Okay. Any questions about this one? Is there a motion to approve vegetable glycerin for Stony Moose?
Motion to approve product vegetable glycerin.
Okay.
Stony Moose.
Yep. Any additional questions or comments? So for vegetable glycerin for Stony Moose license 16991, all those in favor of approving the new product signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we took care of that, and now we go back to tab 33. So now you can make all this with the vegetable glycerin.
Outstanding.
Well, yeah, as soon as we approve them. So what do we got here? Some marshmallow crisps. So have you had a cruise ship down Ketchikan yet?
We had our first one on the 29th, I believe.
Anybody find your store?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, they're looking for us.
All right.
We're right in the middle of the historic downtown district, and it's, you know, old saloons and jewelry shops everywhere.
Okay, so this is you're making this kombucha yourself.
Correct.
Okay, is this going to have the vegetable glycerin? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I see that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I had a couple of questions on that one, in particular. The first one is, 8 ounces is a single serving.
Yes.
It looks like the same bottle, maybe not, as the extra potent, and the extra potent basically, in an 8 ounce bottle is 4 servings. And, I was wondering how you might differentiate those for somebody who would come in and would see one bottle and say, yeah, you can drink it all, that's 1 serving. Right next to it is a bottle that's the same size, and
Sure.
yeah, you can only drink a quarter of that. In terms of, not only as you're trying to sell it or market it, or the retailers are at home, if somebody's got it at home and not paying any attention.
It's going to be a different label, essentially. We're going to have a different colored label on the extra potent version, and there's going to be linear demarcation on the bottle for the serving size. And it's basically, with any product, you kind of have to read the bottle and read what you're getting into, but it's going to be pretty clear on the label what is going to be a 1 serving bottle and what will be a 8 serving bottle, I believe.
Well, it's
Four servings, yeah.
2 ounces serving
Right.
is what the description says.
And so the idea behind that is that you could take a bottle home with you and put your 1 serving dose or whatever you want into another batch of kombucha. You could just have a little sip of it to get your dose, and it'll last you a little bit longer. You can keep it in the fridge and whatnot.
So I think this is isn't this the first fermented product we've had come in front of us, this first kombucha we've had? So what are the,
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's the first one. I think this may be the first one he's making. I think some of the others were,
we seen some other kombuchas
Yeah.
come in?
I was thinking we had, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I don't have the product list.
Right.
I think you guys have a Hashade that I saw that was approved, which is a lemonade drink with THC
Yeah, no,
in it.
we've approved other drinks.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but this one here, kombucha is not it's a couple of things. Will there be any alcohol byproduct in your manufacturing on this? Because I see some kombuchas
Sure.
say there's a little tiny bit alcohol as a natural fermentation product.
Right, the amount of alcohol, I don't intend to really go...
Oh, I'm not talking about, I'm just saying you're gonna have a warning on there if you have an alcohol. Kombuchas
Sure.
you buy in the store have a warning that say, may contain alcohol, and if you shouldn't be drinking alcohol, you shouldn't be drinking this.
Absolutely, the trace
And-
amounts of alcohol
Yeah.
is a good line to put on the label.
Yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. But my question is more towards food safety.
Sure.
Since again, it's a fermented product, it takes a while to make, and you're gonna let it sit for a while. Are there any, does DEC have any regulations that you got, apart from regular food safety regulations you gotta follow for this, or is this just gonna be standard kitchen practice for you?
This is pretty standard production for us in our facility. I did talk to the DEC officer in Fairbanks, and she had some questions about our bottling process, and I explained to her what we were up to, and she's like, oh, okay, that sounds good.
All right, that's fine. I don't have any more questions about that then. And then, the moose, tell us about the moose milk creamer.
It's intended to be a coffee creamer. It's going to come in 1 serving size, 2 serving sizes, and a single shot and a double shot. And then we'll have, again, the take-home bottle for a week's worth of at-home creamer. So it's just an infused cream that folks could add to their coffee or whatever beverage they like.
Okay, and this doesn't fall under our adulterated category. It's up to us. It's just cow milk.
So we are taking the cream and we're doing an in-house process. So it's not just like we're putting it in there. Yeah.
Sure. No, that's no different than other stuff we got. Gotta ask the question.
Sure.
Okay, are there any questions or comments about any other, Stony mushroom chocolates? I like that combination. Any questions or comments about anything that Stony Moose has on here? Not seeing any. We got a motion to approve products 1 through 11 on tab 33.
Motion to approve products for Stony Moose, license number 16991, products 1 through 11.
Okay, you know what, on your mushroom trucks is mushroom powder. Is that that's just gonna be commercial grade mushroom powder that?
Yeah, we're
I've never heard of mushroom powder, I mean, you know.
So these mushrooms, they have adaptogenic effects, and, they're healthful, beneficial mushrooms. You've heard of chaga, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's reishi, cordyceps. So they make, these powders out of these fruit bodies and the mycelium bodies that we're gonna add to the chocolate.
All right. Okay, then on, products 1 through 11 on tab 33 for Stony Moose Kitchens, license number 16991. All those in favor of approval say aye. Aye. Okay, 3-0, there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, which brings us to Red Run. Red Run's on there.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Hello?
Is Red Run out there?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Okay, folks, this is the Marijuana Control Board. We are, talking to a couple of licensees on the phone, so if you're not, in this case, Red Run, please mute your phone so we can hear the licensee. All right.
I think Amber's the one that had the winning ticket. She can't find it.
Okay, Red Run Cannabis, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you want to identify yourself for us?
Yes, my name is Mark Tyler, and I'm with Red Run Cannabis Cultivators.
Okay, real good.
I hope.
If you're not Red Run Cannabis, can you please mute your telephone? We're starting to get some feedback.
Found out that her son was being molested by the teacher. That's really the name. Found out that her son was molested.
Okay, I'll be right with you here.
Yeah.
Just gonna flip through tabs real quick.
Lots of dad. We're divorced last.
Oh.
Like, something's got to give for her. It's really nice to see that.
Okay, we tabled these out of time, wasn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so, you've got 9 products, we got 3 concentrates.
But Greg, an MA that
Let's get a
he's
motion
worked
for
with
the 3
previously,
concentrates.
who's actually coming up for the summer to work with him, live with him, so much of that kids.
We'll whack them out.
He's gonna mentor her for the summer. We're gonna use her to at least bridge the gap.
Motion to approve Red Run Cannabis Concentrates, hash,
He is, but he's barely collecting.
Okay, are there any questions about, the hash, keef, or rosin concentrate products?
He's costing us a lot.
Okay, not hearing any. All those in favor of approving hash, keef, and rosin for, Red Run, license 19372, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, very good. And then the products, the edibles, okay, the Moon Rock, is this a typo? Is this Moon Rock product type product?
Mr. Chair, my recollection, and I will confirm this on the application, is that Moon Rocks is flour dipped in oil coated with keef. So it's a lot of different things, so we just called it a product.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yep, it's, okay.
So I had to re-template everything. Now I'm having to go back to
So this is, new or something, by a different name.
motion to approve product Moon Rock.
Another half hour.
Okay, yeah, Moon Rock's varying size, flour dipped in cannabis oil coated with keef. Okay. Any questions about Moon Rock?
Chair?
Yes.
More staff and my own recollection. We've had a lot of discussion about how these kind of products get labeled in terms of, whether they are in fact an end product that could be tested. We've had issues of pre-roll that's had oil and then rolled in keef. And if my memory serves me correctly,
All day long.
our answer was
They don't have time
the
to-
label needed to be
They're always
clear that
So they're
what were
prepping
the
the
test results for the
night, and they're
flour,
trying to
what were the
wrap up
test
that
results
day.
for the oil, what was the test results for the keef. And I noticed this, and some of the others say, well, they'll put the THC in there because they'll just add the THC from the 3 products. And I'm not sure that's sort of what we as a board had
Spend way too much time on talking.
either recommended or talked about in terms of an appropriate label for a consumer, because we weren't sure that you could take a pre-roll that was infused with some oil and then rolled in keef and send that to a test lab and it be consistent across all the product. So we said if you label it with all 3, and I noticed this one, you know, talks about, sort of all combined, so, and I have that same question on a lot of other products that we'll get to later on, probably tomorrow, but, I think as part of the approval process is delegate that to make sure that the label, had that kind of, ability to put those 3 things on there. Otherwise, the consumer
I
really
think the first
doesn't know.
conversation needs to be about policy. What is your?
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. I do notice on the label here that the label describes Moon Rocks as marijuana concentrate, which you know, it's not a manufactured concentrate product. Are you considering it a manufactured concentrate product?
It's one of those, you know, kind of gray areas. I would consider it a concentrated product, but the points that were brought up are exactly on point and valid. And that's been kind of my question as well, as how exactly when we get down to producing it for the retail industry, is how we accurately label that. And right now, I mean, you can kind of get to it, but there's no clear pathway to that. And I kind of really like the idea that the gentleman brought up about having on the label of having it all basically differentiated, because at this time I don't have a clear, logical way of presenting that on a label.
Yeah, have you talked to your testing laboratory about how they might test something like this, or?
No.
You're gonna have test results for the flour and the oil.
Yep. No, it hasn't been something I haven't talked with. Yeah, I haven't got any other feedback from anybody else doing it as well. We just haven't got to that point, but yeah, all those things have to be addressed.
Yeah, okay, and again, this is one of those kind of doors that's open that best practices, you know, sign over the top that really get developed. So, yeah, you know, why don't you? Because on the front label it says flour, oil, and keef, and then on the back it says marijuana concentrate. So if I just look at the back label, you know, Moon Rocks, it sounds to me almost like it's, you know, it's a shatter or something, just not knowing any different. So maybe on the delegation, if the director doesn't think this is something that we need to tell him to do directly, can you work with him on the back label? I don't know, flip a coin, whatever. I just feel uncomfortable not calling it a concentrate on our vote and having it called it's concentrated. You used the right word, but it's not a refined concentrate. And so we don't want to be, you know.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk with the staff a little bit, and you know, you just lose the word concentrate because it's marijuana, you know.
Yep.
So
And the board's expectation is that the test results are decided individually for the different.
yeah, that would be
I'm
make
coordinating
it
with,
smaller print, but yeah.
Brian for a follow-up meeting. He's been doing a lot of work on that.
Yeah.
That way we'd be assured that each of the products was
So
tested,
probably next week he'll be up,
that they weren't.
either this next week or the week after, he'll be coming,
Yeah, that's right.
whoever's here.
What's OC mean? I've seen that one before on a label. OCIMENE.
I mean, from a work
That
standpoint,
was
That's just being at the
I'm looking
lesser
at
number.
I'm not getting any. Okay, all right, so on the Moon Rocks, we got a motion, right? Okay, so all those in favor of approving Moon Rocks with delegations, signify by saying aye.
I'll be here.
Okay,
Dressing.
and then hash chocolates, hash gummies, premium infused cashew butter, premium infused peanut butter, and premium infused pecan butter. You're just taking commercial peanut butter to make that, or are you making your own peanut butter?
We will be, we're getting the butter, already, basically, the almonds or the peanuts and cashews already creamed into a butter. And then, basically adding our ingredients to that. So the process of the nuts are already creamed.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, is there a motion for, these 5 products?
Motion to approve hash,
Yeah,
number 1, 2, 6, 7, and 8.
okay. All right, any other discussion on these? So for, products 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, edibles for, Red Run Cannabis Cultivators, $19372, all those in favor of approval, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, so there you go. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Bye-bye.
So it's not big amounts in each drink, but then you
That
can have
brings us
another
to,
chocolate.
that brings pending
But once
inspection.
that first drop
Okay,
comes out-
so licenses and pending inspection, tab 37. Okay, is Tempt
Yeah, but
LLC
That requires storage, requires.
here or on the
So like
phone?
Adam already had to cut down all the others, I'm sure he showed you.
Okay, how about
We need another
Cloudberry
one.
Cannabis, Cloudberry Partners?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would recommend that the board,
What's the likelihood that
revoke
if
your
we're not
approval on
gonna
Tempt LLC. They've had multiple opportunities to come before the board and haven't come before the
Oh, yeah,
board,
I see.
haven't reported to the office.
purchase it eventually?
All right, is there a motion to, revoke the approval of,
She needs a Carol Hood to do.
license 11091 Tempt LLC Standard Manufacturing, Standard Marijuana Cultivation Facility?
Motion to revoke license number 11091 Tempt LLC.
Okay, and I'll note that their license was approved in February of 2017, and it was issued on May 24th of 2017, and they didn't appear at the January meeting, and they don't appear one more time. Tempt LLC, are you on the line? Okay.
Mr. Chair, could
yes.
it be worded as you resending your
Rescinding?
prior
What did I
approval?
say? Oh, rescind
A
prior approval?
revocation is a particular process, and that's not
Yeah.
quite what's happening in this situation.
Okay. Yep. So the motion would be to rescind prior approval?
So motion.
Okay, we'll just do a roll call on this. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller? Yes. I'm a yes. So we have rescinded prior approval on license 11091 Tempt LLC. And then Cloudberry Cannabis, you have the same recommendation?
Well,
Is that
I am
correct?
not-
Revoke
I'm
prior
told my
approval?
friends, my family, anybody.
Yeah.
tells me
Okay.
they have an injury line. Come see
Um,
my doctor, Algon.
Pretty sure nobody's online about that one.
is, Joseph Shimek or Lily Shimek, you on the line? No, wait, you turn the phone off. Okay,
The
so,
conference is now in listen-only mode.
Cloudberry Cannabis, license 11547.
So motion.
Okay, any discussion? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller? Yes. And I'm a yes, so. Prior approval on 11547, retail marijuana store is rescinded, and do we have a motion to rescind license 11635, standard marijuana cultivation facility for Cloudberry Partners?
So motion.
Okay, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
I'm a yes, so, I'm sorry, Al, I'm a yes anyway. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Okay, so that is also, that coffee from Steam Dot just wasn't as strong as I had hoped this morning. All right, moving right along, Alaska B, who's good, is, good morning, is
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Alaska
Good morning,
Green B, North Pole.
Yes, we are.
Oh, good morning. So what's up?
Good morning. Well, we had an extended conditional use that took us almost a year to acquire, and that pushed us back quite a bit. And we are going
Can you identify yourself for us? I'm sorry.
I apologize. My name is Monique Daigle.
A lot more viable.
Okay, folks, we're listening to Monique. We're talking to some licensees. If you are not talking to us, please mute your telephone. Thank you. Okay, Monique, go ahead.
So we intend to be ready or expect to be ready to request inspection sometime in June. We are very
Is that what you want? Can you carry it there?
Okay, so you got everything, you got your permit, you say about a month you'll be requesting inspection.
approximately, yes.
Sure.
2 weeks on,
But that's our intention.
Okay, well, keep us informed, and hopefully we'll see you in July in Fairbanks. It's really nice in Fairbanks in July, with a big smile on your face.
There you go. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Northern Dreams. Northern Dreams in Sutton. Are you online?
Yes.
Okay. Good morning. What's up?
This is Andrew Wessel, Northern Dreams. I've already submitted for my inspection, so I'm just waiting on Jason at AMCO to let me know my inspection date.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Matt, tell me what to do with my husband.
And that brings us to licenses and delegated status. Hale Harvest, you in here? Is Hale Harvest on the line?
There's so many.
In Clam Gulch?
There's so many, and I don't think that he's capable.
Okay, how about Henley's Happy Harvest?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Hale Harvest has been in delegated status for over 2 years, so...
Have we heard from him since April 2018?
No, we have not.
All right. What's your pleasure? What's your recommendation?
My recommendation would be to rescind your prior approval.
Okay. Okay, is there and one more time, is Hale Harvest on the line, Clam Gulch?
His
Okay,
priorities are his
You
mom.
can shut it up for a second.
But
Okay, is there a motion to
I'm not
rescind
willing
prior
to accept the last.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
Motion to rescind, prior approval on business Hale Harvest, license number 10876.
Okay, and this is tab 38, and the note on here is that the fire marshal, in April of 2018, the applicant said he was in communication with the fire marshal and was instructed to keep updated. Okay, so, any discussion on rescinding prior approval? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
I'm a yes, so their prior approval of license number 10876 Hale Harvest Limited Marijuana Cultivation Facility is, rescinded. Okay, Henley's Happy Harvest, have we heard anything from them? They got approved in January of 2018.
No.
Okay, check on the phone there.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Henley's Happy Harvest in Kenai, are you on the line?
That's where I'm at.
Henley's Happy Harvest, cultivation.
It's a hurtful decision, but it's so easier.
Okay,
I don't think it's...
that's been a year and a half now, so we want to give it to...
My recommendation would be to give them till one
Yeah,
more
I was
meeting.
gonna say, let's go till July. Okay. All right. We'll see if they show up in July.
In a perfect world, you walk away, we're still friends.
And you know, what this is showing, I mean, just about everybody in here has got a license of one kind or another, but when you're talking to people and they're saying, oh yeah, I wanna put a grow in my garage, you might point to them cases where people say, oh yeah, it's a great idea, and they, 2 years later, we give them a license, and 2 years later, we never hear from them. So, you know, there's a lot of risk involved here, so just feel free to convey to folks. You know, because you don't want to see your friends go bust. All right, Brown's Owl Cultivation from Fairbanks. Is Brown's Owl on the line?
If it doesn't work, it won't work. I've already told him when.
Hello, Brown's Owl Cultivation, AKA Winazar LLC.
Move forward and get along.
Okay,
I think eventually.
well, we'll talk to them in
out of
July.
it. But I think
Alaska Horticultural Arts.
Adam holds a grudge like nobody.
Is Alaska Horticultural Arts on the line?
Mr. Chair, this applicant has rescinded his application.
Life's too short.
Okay, thank you, all right.
I'm glad the firm realized that.
That was
So
voluntarily.
maybe he can get through this, and we can split up and not be married
Okay.
for so long. I can.
Glacier Bay Farms in
My upside, and I respect,
Haines.
respect Adam.
Carol Waldo, are you on the line this morning?
Yes, I am.
Good morning. How's
Good
Haines?
morning.
Unless every single time you have to lay eyes on me. Oh.
Carol, go ahead and introduce yourself to us and, tell us what's going on.
My name is Carol Waldo. I'm working with the fire marshal now to get, my standard marijuana cultivation facility going. And it seems like everybody is busy. We finally got our wastewater approval design from Joyner Engineering the end of February, and we're now on the schedule for a licensed electrical contractor to go ahead and finish our 2 buildings. So we're working on it and trying to do everything properly and stay within our budget.
Okay, yeah, that's perfectly understandable. I'm glad you're here. So we'll look to speak to you in July and see how things are going.
So you're working together.
Okay,
All right.
in July.
Thanks so much.
I don't even know.
All right, thank you, and goodbye.
I don't know what we're working towards.
All right, Kernigan Herb Company from, Anchorage. Not in the room. Is Kernigan Herb Company on the line? Retail store. Do we know anything about them, Director?
Nope. Nothing.
Okay, so they, they're 2 years now since approval.
No, only one.
Well, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. Better not do that with my birthday, huh? Okay,
Not an adventure.
does anybody know Kernigan Herb Company?
Like a long,
They
long
got it
road
going?
trip with family.
Slow but sure, any idea? No? Okay, it says municipality protest.
I'm not saying I don't like Adam.
Oh, they do, okay, all right. All right, let's do them in July.
I'll ask them to come in July.
Yeah, okay. Granny's Greens LLC, withdrawn, okay? Withdrawn or rescinded? Okay, same thing. Well, it's voluntary. Okay. And last but not least, Simple House.
And what analogy was that for?
Is Simple House LLC from Wasilla on the line?
Jan Wilson.
Yes, I am.
Mark is on the line.
Okay, we hear you there. Very good.
Mark Opegard here. How y'all doing today?
Oh, we're doing just fine. So, what's
Excellent.
what's going on? You get your fire marshal approval. You're it's 2 year also.
Repeat?
Oh no, I was just looking at the calendar here.
So Mark went ahead and got his fire marshal application in a few weeks ago, and they're working on it. And the fire marshals though are going to be out of town for the first 3 weeks of May, so it's probably going to take some time. And then he's got to install his CO2 monitoring system. And that's about, and provide exit signage. And then, Mark, that's about it, right? And then just an inspection.
Yeah, he had me replace the position of the fire extinguishers. He liked them in better access in certain areas. Fire Marshal Dawn out at Station 51.
Okay.
But that was the only items.
Okay, well, yeah, well, give us if you're not inspecting stuff, just give us an update on July. Hopefully you'll be squared away by then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you go shut the phone off for a minute.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
9, which is, we're going to have several items for board consideration. So, Director Vern's Wicked Weed
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at the last meeting, when this particular item came up, there was phone troubles, and Mr. Erickson was not able to speak to the board. I had forgotten and didn't recall until I was reviewing the minutes shortly before this meeting that the board did actually speak to him later on at that meeting and declined to reconsider at that time. So I sent Mr. Erickson a denial letter, and he requested an informal conference. So we spoke on March 14th, and he explained his situation to me, and I asked him to answer 4 questions in writing and told him that I would provide those the responses to the board so the board could determine whether or not you wish to reconsider your denial. Thank you.
Okay, great. Going to introduce yourself to us. Put the silver button. So there.
I'm Jeremy Erickson, owner of Burns Wicked Weed.
Okay, great. So, I believe you that we couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
I think it was, we just hadn't heard from you for a while, and so, you are all built out?
Yeah, I have pictures to...
Yeah, sure, let's see them.
Yeah. I was at the last meeting. Excited.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I hear you. Ref out.
All that's left is, plug and play lights, basically.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so we, at which meeting did we, February meeting, we
So you
rescinded,
denied,
right?
you rescinded your approval at the February meeting. If you wish to reconsider it, I would recommend that you set a sort of a drop-dead date for being inspected.
Sure.
And opening.
Okay, and that, the inspection will be on us because somebody's gotta get from Juneau up to there.
Sure.
Yeah, and so hopefully, before July 1st,
Okay.
the fiscal year starts,
Yeah.
I'll be around about that, but, okay, so how soon do you think you'd be ready?
With the metric and the tags, 30 days.
30
would
days.
be push, you know what I mean, just in case.
So,
We'll
45,
leave it.
so if we were to, how do we phrase the motion? Can we say, what did we do? Did we revoke it, or did we rescind? We rescinded approval,
You
right?
rescinded your approval, so you could reconsider that decision, and then I would, you might just say that if it's not, operating by the July meeting, that you're gonna address it at the July
Yeah,
meeting.
I was gonna say, we just put abeyance in there, but we have to revisit the rescinding. So is there a motion to revisit the previous action of the board on license 10071?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I would move that the board rescind its previous action in February on license 10071, Standard Cultivation Facility, and that we get a report from the applicant and from staff that the inspection was completed at the July meeting.
Yeah, good deal. Yeah, I think that language works. Okay, all those in favor of the motion as stated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, there you go. We'll talk to you in July, and like I say, hopefully you'll have dollar signs in your eyes. All right, so. All right, 88 Double Happiness, good morning. Okay, let's get to your tab there, tab 40. Okay, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The licensee, Mr. Sufanavong, did I pronounce that correctly? Pretty close. Was not present at the February meeting to speak to the board, so the board rescinded its prior approval. Mr. Sufanavong and his lawyer requested an informal conference with me, and we discussed the situation. He still has a tenant in his proposed licensed premises who is operating another successful business. And he indicated that he is still developing a plan for his cultivation facility. I informed him that if he answered 4 questions, I would bring this matter to the board for the board to determine whether or not you wish to reconsider.
So you're the microgreens guy?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am.
I was asking somebody yesterday, I said, whatever happened to him? All right. Okay, so, go ahead and run down for us really fast what's been going on.
Growing microgreens.
Okay, I mean, vis-a-vis getting your marijuana business done.
Yes, the marijuana thing is a different story, it's a different animal, and you know, just kind of being careful and trying to find a sweet spot where I might fit in. So today, I think looking at the market for the last, well, it's just starting in 2016, so it hasn't been that long, but there's, I mean, personally, I think the market is kind of odd. I mean, so I need more time to think about it. So the building has 2 levels, so it is possible that I maintain the microgreen operation on the 1 level and transfer the 2nd level into a cannabis grow. But, you know, a lot of this is kind of depends on production and cost. So, you know, it's just a business decision, trying to figure out what a sweet spot might be.
Okay,
But it takes a while to get through.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I think when you came to us, if I'm not mistaken, we were over there in the courthouse is where we had our meeting when you gave your license. It seemed like you told us that there was going to be a transition period between moving out of microgreens and going into
Correct.
Standard cultivation. When was this license issued? 2017?
2016.
2016. Okay, so you've had it for 3 years now.
Yeah.
Have you renewed it yet?
No, I never got started. I mean, I
Oh,
never
It's never been
anything.
issued.
Okay, never been issued. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, okay.
And keep in mind that if he's not ready to operate a license, when he is ready, he can apply for a new license.
Right. Okay, all right. So do you have a timeline on when you think you might, I mean, it sees you're continuing to make some investment in the in the structure.
Correct.
Which is good. Okay, what's the board think?
Mr. Chair, I'm very reluctant to rescind our action. This has been going on a long time. It is a successful business already there. If he were to need to change the premises diagram, if he would need to change things about moving to a 2nd story or cutting it down, if he needed to look for a different site, he would need a new application. And I guess I'm, at this point, very reluctant to action, and that, you know, he could still make the case, he could then reapply if it's a new facility or a different place. I sense some reluctance to give up a successful business and replace it with one that's less certain. So I just think that for my personally, I'm very reluctant to rescind or change our action, and I think that he needs to make that kind of a decision and decide where and how he's going to do it and reapply.
Yeah, I would say there's some legitimacy to that. I mean, you don't need to have have you done anything with the city?
No, I haven't.
You haven't done anything with the city
other than through Chugach and some
so
power usage planning. But the problem is the location. So the location is a valid location. For microgreen, I can move that basically, it can be anywhere. It doesn't have the same regimented requirements. So at some point, maybe this is sort of the experimental stage, phasing in one floor as the cultivation, and then find relocation for the microgreens, and then moving on to the phase into the other side. So, but I can't. I mean, to me, that's a reasonable thinking.
Well, sure, and I mean, you're thinking like a businessman, which is good, and you are a businessman, which is good. So my point, I think, what Mr. Jones is saying is that if we do not undo the denial, you're really not out a whole lot. I mean, you're out the application fee, but you haven't gone to the city for any building permits or land use permits or anything else that you need to do.
Correct.
So you're not out there, and by denying the license like we did, that's not a pejorative statement by the board. That doesn't prejudice our decision in the future. You could decide, I'm ready to pull the trigger and come back to us, and quite possibly not have to do a whole lot more than change dates on some of the paperwork. I mean, a little bit more, but if...
The forms are entirely different from they were in 2016.
That's right. Yeah, it's been 3 years.
Oh, so
been 3 years.
I think that's a great idea. You can mothball. I mean, we can mothball this and then come back.
Yeah,
whenever.
You'd have to do the. We're not saying we're never giving this guy a license again by design.
But to restart the application process takes a while. Takes more time.
That's true.
And it could be open to other protests.
Well, you don't have any. You don't even have any of your city paperwork done.
Correct.
And that's another place where protests can come up.
Correct.
Mr. Chair,
this is
the city has lifted its protests,
so you've
done something.
All right. All right. So you've got all the city stuff you need.
It's just easier. I mean, less complicated for me in the future as time goes on.
Yeah. No, I've got you there.
And I could come back and satisfy the board to proceed.
The thing is, it might be another 3 years before you come back.
Well, but there's no harm, no foul here.
Well, and the same thing might be said by people who we sit on their licenses. Do we have heartburn for 2 years?
That's true.
Yeah, we got to try to be a little bit consistent here.
Oh, but I am double happiness.
Boy, I'm kind of.
Good. Based on your statement, are you saying you have your conditional use permits?
I think I'm not sure if I do, actually.
So, through the chair, Mr. Miller, our records indicate that the municipality protested and the protest has been lifted. So that indicates that he has his special land use permit. If I may speak briefly on why it's not in my opinion, and why I bring these back to the board, that it's not appropriate for these to just sit. A license approval, and this is what's in my memo that I always send with these, which probably nobody reads anymore because it's the same memo every meeting. But a license approval from the board indicates that the board has determined the application to be compliant with the regulations that existed at the time of review. The regulations have changed over 3 years and continue to change due to the rapidly evolving nature of the industry, of everybody's sort of learning curve, of discovering things that don't really fit right and need to be changed. So there's that. There's the issue of, is it still compliant with separation distances from protected land uses? Now, we sort of set that at the time of application, but is it really fair that somebody sort of gets to go for 3 or 6 or some number of years without operating, but still sort of reserve that right? So there could be changes to the land use over time, And, you know, then there's is the licensee keeping up with the regulations? And, you know, I asked that question and he provided his response, but that's sort of a general thing. So, in my feeling, if somebody's not ready to operate their license, not taking steps and moving forward to operate their license, they should, you know, wait until they are to apply and keep moving. And that's sort of been the standard that the board has been applying, is that you talk to people who have been delayed, or, you know, who have not been moved, or who have been in pending inspection or delegated status for a long time, and if you hear that they are taking steps to move forward, you let them continue those steps. And I think that, to my mind, that's appropriate. And of course, it's all your decision. But those are the reasons why I bring these back to the board.
So just, okay, your license application is for a standard cultivation facility.
Correct.
And so far, you've been working on the electric for it.
Correct.
Have you studied whether the plumbing that you've got in there already for the microgreens is going to be sufficient for a marijuana cultivation?
Yes.
Because I've heard some horror stories about standard cultivations in the last day or two, about the construction process of them.
Yes.
So I again, you know, this would, by reconsidering the denial, it would give you, just continue to grandfather you into that location there, which, you know.
This is just an interesting building, because I've always used this building since '83 as a microgreens processing place. So it's built for this. So it's actually advantageous for me, of course, to think long-term that this is a perfect transition into a higher value product. It doesn't require a whole lot of changes, just because it fits everything that we do in growing.
Yeah, sure. Now I understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other comments from any of the board members? So is there a motion to reconsider the previous denial of license 10074?
I'll make the motion. To reconsider. It's a very difficult situation, and it's a very difficult decision, and I'm still...
Yeah, and, you know, I'm half tempted, for educational purposes, to put this off until July. And by that I mean, in July, we'll have all five of us will be here.
All right.
And when I say educational purposes, this is kind of it's kind of a tough decision for me. It's kind of, you know,
Okay.
we're working on this. It's not going to put you off any.
No, I heard
put you up
July
time-wise.
is very nice in Fairbanks.
July's nice in Fairbanks. That's what I heard too.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's put this off to July, and you guys.
I agree. We could put it off till July, but I would also like to see somebody get to a decision whether they're going to do this or not. Because the license, you got to get to a decision.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Okay. Mr. Jones, you okay with July?
No.
You're not. Sounds like you're ready to vote. Okay, well, that's 3-2 to go to July, so despite what the newspaper says, that idea fails. Okay.
3-2, there's only three of us here.
Oh, yeah, you're right. 2-1.
And I don't know that a motion to table requires us to be,
it was.
And I didn't hear a motion to table.
No, you did not. That's correct.
So
You did
if
not.
there is a motion to table,
Okay.
I would vote no, but I still think it would pass.
Well, it would pass. Yeah, it would pass. Okay, is there a motion to table till July?
Motion to table till July.
Okay. All those in favor of tabling consideration license 10074, reconsideration of license denial until the July meeting, signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Is there anybody opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so 2-1, and it does pass because it's not a license application. So we'll see you in July.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Dream Green Farms. Good morning.
Good morning, Dana Weltzine for Green Dream Farms, and designated licensee Justin Rowland is on the phone as well.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Mr. Rowland, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Yeah, identify yourself to us for the record.
Justin Rowland, R-O-L-A-N-D.
Okay.
So this issue came to us, Lucinda, one of the licensees, had medical issues and needed to get treatment elsewhere, not in the state of Alaska, and she also had a mom that she needed to take care of too, so she lost her residency status, and so we removed her, and you're looking at the 2018 to 2019 renewal application.
Okay, there a motion to renew license 10080 Dream Green Farms?
So motion.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving renewal of license 10080 Dream Green Farms, signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, you are renewed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Dana
you.
Weltzine for Einstein Labs.
Sure, we'll move on to tab 42, Einstein Labs. And is,
Same licensee.
oh, okay, oh, sorry, okay.
Exact same issue.
Same issue. Okay, well, then is there a motion to approve renewal of license 10082 Einstein Labs?
Motion to renew license number 10082, 2018-2019 operating period.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor of approval of license, or renewal of license 10082 Einstein Labs, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? I don't think so. So there you go.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to North Star Fire.
Dana Weltzine, attorney for North Star Fire, and the licensee, Kirsten Hagen, is on the line.
Morning, Ms. Hagan.
Hi, good morning.
Okay, Director?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board had upheld the protest by the City of Fairbanks and denied this license with a 120-day abeyance back in October of last year, and that abeyance expired on February 28th. The issue was a certificate of occupancy. So we didn't get a lift of the protest by the deadline, which was, losing it in my,
I would be a little bit more specific in how
losing it in my document.
So I would
March 13th.
give them, yeah.
No, I think the deadline was February 28th.
February 28th, by February 28th, thank you. So we sent the denial letter on March 13th. And we got a notice from the City of Fairbanks.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
But also indicating that the certificate of occupancy had been issued on February 5th, which is, almost a full month before the abeyance period had ended, and that the city clerk had not received that information until March 14th. So it appears that the licensee had satisfied the condition, but that information hadn't been conveyed within the City of Fairbanks departments to the clerk in order for the protest to be lifted. So while it is the responsibility of the licensee to follow up to make sure the protest is lifted, because that is the requirement of the abeyance period, they did do what they needed to do within the abeyance period. So the licensee's counsel, Ms. Weltzine, requested an informal conference and explained the situation to me, and I agreed to bring this back to the board. So I would recommend that you reconsider the denial.
And I would just add that I agree with everything in the director's report, and that we really should have been more proactive in making sure that Fairbanks lifted the paperwork got through.
Okay, is there a motion to reconsider denial of license 13479 North Star Fire?
So motion.
Okay, is there any discussion? Sounds like just a couple of sets of cross wires. Okay, all those in favor of reconsideration of license 13479 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And in the matter of license 13479, is there a motion to approve the license?
So moved.
Okay, is there any delegation left on this?
I could look it up, but it might be faster
Yeah,
if we
let's
just
say
did
with
it,
delegation.
and then we'll verify.
With delegation.
Okay, all those in favor of approval of license 13479 North Star Fire with delegation signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, there you go. Nugs LLC.
Janet Wilson, attorney for Nugs LLC.
I'm Dave Smith with Nugs.
Good morning. Play music here real quick. Okay, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this application was moved to failed to complete status on March 12th, which was after 90 days of, so the way the process works is after staff reviews an application, they send what's called an incomplete letter, which is these are the things that need to be corrected, and indicates that the applicant has 90 days to make those corrections in accordance with 3 AAC 025 E and F. In this situation, the applicant did not correct all the required items within the 90-day period. So the application was moved to failed to complete status, and the applicant was informed that if they wanted to continue seeking a license, they would need to start over. And the reasons for that was that the lease that was filed with our office for this application at the end of the 90-day period still contained the signature of an individual who had been taken off the license. And at the time that we were informed that this individual needed to be taken off the license, which was in January, the licensing examiner informed the applicant that any document that was signed by this individual, Matthew Smith, and or includes Matthew Smith, will need to be redone. Proof of possession of proposed premises, entity documents, etc., and that this email does not extend the 90-day deadline given to you. So that's quoting from the email. So the lease, which I have attached to my cover, starting on page 5, I believe, still contained Matthew Smith. They had not replaced the lease by the end of the 90 days. And so the application was deemed failed to complete within the period required by the regulations, and the applicant is appealing that decision.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. We're appealing this decision because for a couple of reasons. One, the original incomplete did not ask for a new proof of possession. It asked for clarification as to whether or not the tracked changes version of the lease, which ultimately got submitted because the licensee and the landlord were trying to complete the lease while I was out of town, and Word, accept all functions on Word are not everybody knows how to use those. So that got submitted, and that's fine. And the proof of the incomplete letter didn't take any issue with that. They just wanted to make sure we're okay with those track changes being in the public record. And also, they asked for clarification as whether or not 2,400 square feet encompassed the whole building. So this particular landlord does a lot of traveling, and he was in Texas for an extended amount of time. So we had emailed him, hadn't gotten through to him, and I wanted to finalize the lease in a clean format. I saw this as a time to clean it up and get a better lease on the record. So there was that issue, but nothing in the incomplete letter said, hey, there's something not compliant about this lease. It was more about clarification. The follow-up email that Director McConnell noted that said any documents that were signed by Matt need to be redone. Well, I take issue with that because this LLC is a manager-managed LLC, and at the time of signing the document, Matt Smith was a manager, and so he bound the entity. And so requiring folks to redo their legal agreements with other parties for reasons that it doesn't make any sense because he was the manager and could bind the entity. And so I didn't see that as a material request because it doesn't really follow how our Limited Liability Act statutes are written. Third, again, there was no indication of any non-compliant issues with the lease. The lease had all of the disclaimers, all of the AMCO requirements, everything. It just was a little messy because of the track changes by my office, and needed to clarify that they were leasing the entire building instead of the 2,400 square feet notation was confusing to AMCO staff. Those were the only issues. On March 8th, an email that you don't have in your packet, but I brought a copy of, we submitted all of our incomplete corrections to AMCO on March 8th. The deadline is March 11th, correct? And we didn't get a response. And in my March 8th email, I said, response to the proof of possession issue. The lease was intended to be for the whole building. I was out of town when the landlord and my client were finalizing the lease, so ultimately what got submitted was the track changes. NUGS has complete possession of the entire building, as you will see in the diagrams. We have provided a new, clean, untracked version of the lease. That's all we wanted to do was clean it up, give you a better version without my little red lines. But he's currently traveling, and I do not think we're going to get the signed lease by the expiration of the 90 days for this license. Again, if you will review the MJ02, you will see there's no other uses. The whole building is the proposed licensed premises. We respectfully request that this application get deemed complete without the revised clean lease, with the understanding we're getting it to you as soon as possible. Again, because the lease was compliant, and it was just messy because of the red lines. We didn't get a response. On March 11th, which is the deadline, I followed up with AMCO and said, hey, I'm just making sure you got all three of my attachments and emails. And Jane responded, Jane Sawyer at AMCO. She goes, we did receive all three emails with attachments, but Jack is out today, and that's the deadline, right? That's March 11th, that's the deadline. She was expecting these to come in very last minute, but also was expecting they're 100% complete and accurate because of the 90-day deadline is today. And from our understanding, all of the other corrections were complete and accurate. The only issue that was outstanding was this little cleanup of the lease, which we actually got the very next day, March 13th, and submitted.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
If I could respond to some of those things. The original incomplete letter didn't say that there was a new lease required because at that time, Matthew Smith was still thought to be a licensee, so we couldn't have said, you have to take this guy off the lease when we think he's a licensee. It wasn't until later that we learned that he was going to be coming off the license. The application was rolled back to new status, and in Ms. Sawyer's email of January 23rd, which is on page 3, it says, do you need an amended complete letter? You pretty much know what to do, right? And the response to that, which I didn't include, but the response was yes, they knew what to do. So, of course, we couldn't have put that in the original incomplete letter because it wasn't an issue at that time. To say that Matt Smith, it was appropriate to have him sign the lease because he was a manager of the entity that was going to be licensed, but they were taking him out of the entity that was going to be licensed, really doesn't make any sense to me at all. And in regards to the March 8th email, what time did you send that email?
5:40.
It looks like it is, but I don't hear you. That's weird.
5:41.
And was that, what day of the week was that? So Friday after 5 o'clock. She didn't get a response. The licensing examiner's regularly scheduled day off was Monday, but the lease that we required to be submitted wasn't submitted by the deadline. So I think the fact that they didn't get a response after 5 o'clock on Friday until Monday isn't a factor in this situation.
And I just would like to make one more clarifying point on the lease. The original lease was signed by all three managers. Again, an entity is different than the actual members, right? It's a whole separate body. So the fact that Matt signed as a managing member with his other two managing member partners a document that bound them and had them paying rent is totally normal. Think about corporations that change ownership and change officers. Just because the president of Coca-Cola in 2002 signed an agreement that was supposed to last 30 years, if he quits, that doesn't mean that the agreement is not binding anymore. It's still valid. And I would like my client, he came all the way from Juneau. I want to give him an opportunity to address the board, too.
Yeah, sure. No, that's fine. Why was Mr. Smith taken off?
Basically, we had to terminate the partnership. I mean,
with him.
With him. So we went through the process of redoing everything. One of the things that was confusing about the lease is originally we leased 2,400 square feet, and there was an apartment above. Then we got the opportunity to lease the apartment, so we had to go back and we did another lease.
So now we had 2 leases, but one of the things that happened was, is that if you look at the way the leases were written, it looked like we were renting 2,400 square feet twice. So that was part of the process of trying to get everything cleaned up. But unfortunately, due to the fact that he was out of state, I mean, there was no way that we could get anything generated. I mean, literally, the day he got back in the state, we got it done, we got it printed, and we got it to Jana.
And Rob, the landlord, I mean, he's a pretty busy guy. He owns Warden Homes Incorporated, and so he's kind of slippery salmon to get a hold of. So we appreciate all the staff's time on this, and I know it's not an ideal situation, and it just seems a bit punitive to fail the application and make these guys pay 2-3 extra months in rent to wait till July, which they've resubmitted an application, but we resubmitted it and got everything in. I think I'm gonna off my memory 3rd or 4th of April, just in case they could get it onto this agenda, and they ended up not being able to review it in time for this agenda.
Yeah, right now, 2 applications pending. I went ahead and filled out a complete new application, resubmitted another $6,000 to where if for some reason I didn't get my appeal, I would have another application in front of the board.
On this agenda.
On this agenda. But basically, so, I missed that meeting. I'm here at this meeting. If it goes to the next meeting, I mean, basically it boils down to me to about $16,000. Because we've got to have the property, we have to have a lease in hand before we can even apply.
Right, but which you have now. You have the lease.
Well, he's had it since May of 2018, almost a year. He's paying rent for almost a year now, and it was just a simple cleanup matter of them trying to do a little bit of legal work on their own, kind of got a little squishy, and then me not being available enough to clean it up, and then the landlord ultimately being out of town during the winter months.
Let me look to, or go ahead.
A couple things. One, we didn't hear anything between January 23rd and March 8th, any argument that it was inappropriate to have Matt Smith taken off the lease. So it's only after they weren't able to get the revised lease that they're arguing that they weren't able, they shouldn't have.
I would say that we didn't really notice that was going to be an issue because in Jane's email, she put in parentheses, POP, P-O-P-P, comma, entity docs, ... et cetera. So that's, doesn't really
the lease is the POP.
Well, no, I know that, but I mean, it doesn't really jump out to you like, hey, this is the issue, blah, blah, blah. And also, okay, I'm sorry, Director, go ahead.
Thank you. I would remind the board of your action of January 24th, 2018, where you did have an appeal of a failed to complete situation where the applicant completed their application 92 days after the incomplete letter, and you stated that the regulations didn't give the board any wiggle room, and thus you upheld the staff's decision and denied the appeal. So,
but I would argue that is materially different because there was no regulatory non-compliant issue left in the application. It was just a simple cleanup of the lease to make it make more sense and ease of read without the red lines and addressing that the whole building was included.
Can I ask Ms. Milks if you'd care to address strictly the issue of whose signature is on a lease and whether these guys, let's just say that they leased that property 3 years ago. They're going to put a boat shop in it. But then they decided, well, you know what? The LLC with 3 members at the time, instead of being in the boat shop business, we want to grow marijuana. But it's a X-year lease. And one of the partners says, I don't want to be involved in that. If we're not going to sell boats, I don't want to be involved in it, so take me out of the LLC. Is there any legal reason to be concerned about his signature being on that X-year lease that existed while they were the original LLC?
No, it's strictly legally. No, there's not.
Okay, and then in terms of, would we consider a signatory to a lease that was created prior to the issuance of a license or prior to the decision that a license application is complete and an individual whose name is on the lease departs the LLC, would their signature on there, should we consider their signature being on that lease to either A, represent ownership that's no longer in existence of the license? You know, would they be, if somebody doesn't become a licensee, or do they have to become a licensee because their signature is on a lease?
No.
Okay, so based on that, I think that kind of indicates that the lease, when it was presented, whether it was full of Microsoft Word change orders or not, should not necessarily have been an issue for the license. And I'll ask Ms. Milks if you'd care to answer that.
Well, I'm going to answer that very carefully because
So I would expect.
in this particular case, perhaps not, but there are circumstances in which a change in a signatory to a lease could be of concern to you. I don't exactly see that here, although I do think it's an issue that material changes were made to the lease and were incomprehensible. I think that's a problem, but, you know, that's a policy decision and it's something for you to interpret.
Okay, so let's talk for a second about the changes to the lease. So you had two leases that had Mr. Smith's signature on both of them. Is that correct also? Or no? Did he sign the lease for the apartment space?
I can't recall.
I believe he may have.
Okay,
Yeah.
so, all right. Okay, but then what's referred to as the incomprehensible changes were the melding of the two leases? Is that
Right,
what that was?
because the two leases that the parties did on their own both said 2,400 square feet, which to me says, hey guys, that's not,
It's 4,800 square
that's too
feet.
much, that's too much space. Let's just say it's the whole building and just clean it up,
Right?
because it's the whole building.
Basically, what the landlord did is he took the original lease that we had signed with him, and then he changed, at the top of the lease, he changed it from 2,400 square feet to 800 square feet, which was just the apartment.
Yeah.
And then adjusted the price.
Yeah.
But somewhere down at the bottom, there was still a 2,400 in there somewhere. And that's where the confusion all came from. And that's why we went ahead and, you know, we tried to clarify that, no, now we have the whole building. It's not actually 2,400 square, you know.
Yeah, okay.
It's 3,400.
All
yeah,
right,
it's the whole building.
board members got any questions or comments on this?
Mr. Chair?
Ms. Jones?
I have several, and well, I guess I appreciate some of the detailed questions you're asking. I think we're forgetting, in essence, that it is the applicant's responsibility to get clarification if they don't understand. And if there are attorneys out of town, that does not absolve the applicant from understanding what's going on. We would expect the applicant to understand as much or more than their legal representative in terms of the application and the running of a business. If they couldn't find the landlord, if there are attorneys out of town, a phone call asking for an extension, something. And I don't see any of that in here other than a communication from the attorney. I've sat in on court cases where attorneys have been laid into by judges for claiming they're out of town and not doing their job. And I don't want to say that Ms. Welsine isn't and wasn't, but the applicant is responsible, not her. And so I have some real issues with no phone calls, no requests for an extension, nothing taking place. So, but also, I'm not sure what I would come down to. I guess my basic question is, if we, upheld the protest, then they have to reapply. If we don't, then they go into, I guess, a completed status, and they'll be before us in July. We wouldn't consider them at this meeting. We wouldn't review their application at this meeting, or had they been deemed complete back then, they would have been on this agenda.
Through the chair, Mr. Jones, had they been deemed complete, they would have been on this agenda, and thus Ms. Wellstein asked me to provide the whole application for you. No notifications have been sent on this application because it hasn't been deemed complete, but the information that they provided after the 90-day deadline has been included in this packet.
Okay.
And I'd just like to note that it's my understanding that staff has not reviewed the additional.
That's correct.
And the only additional information that staff has not reviewed is the new lease. That's just the cleaned up version of the lease. That is the only, and since staff didn't find any regulatory compliance issues with the original lease, which is the same lease, just with the track changes removed and specifying it's the whole building, there shouldn't be anything that would have been caught in this lease.
Mr. Chair,
we
members,
get to determine that.
right. I would just put in a plug for, the board has spent a lot of time talking about right of possession, and you did a whole regulations change to make it clear that the licensee has to have sole right of possession. So while it may be legally okay for an entity to come into an agreement with a landlord to rent space, there was a reason that Matthew Smith was removed from this license, and I don't know what it is, and the applicant has not indicated it, and that's totally fine. But to have an indication that somehow this person has a right to come to these premises, which I think that's implied by his signature on the lease, maybe, again, legal issues aside, that's sort of the implication. I think it's a concern, and I think it was entirely reasonable for the examiner to request that his signature be removed from the lease. So that's where the staff was coming from.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I read most of the letter from the memo from the director. I have not sort of looked through the application. And at this point, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with the back and forth, and she said, he said, she said, they said, or they didn't say. And so I would like to put this off to the last item this afternoon at 4:15 or 4:30. Give me a chance to think about it. Give me a chance to look at it. I want to give them and staff an answer today, but I am not prepared to play Solomon right now. And if I was a judge, I'd say I'd take it under advisement, see me later. But that's sort of where I'm at. I'd like to just put this off to the last item this afternoon and give us a chance to cogitate on this, please.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine.
And that's fine
Yeah.
on our side.
And with that, let's come back in about 10:40.
Thank you.
Okay, phone's back on. Okay, welcome back. Studio 420. Studio 420 here. Yeah.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Is Studio 420 from Anchorage on the line? Means Brad Road, far from here. Okay, all right, direct, put a spot, even though they're not here.
Okay. So, this Studio 420 is a proposed retail store to be held by 420 Enterprises LLC Company. And 420 Enterprises LLC Company is a limited liability company in good standing, owned 50% by Tammy Fenoy and 50% by Abe Spicola. I received information from an individual in the finance department at the municipality of Anchorage regarding Mr. Spicola, and they referred me to an Anchorage Daily News article, which is attached. But Mr. Spicola was charged in 2011 with 18 charges relating to stealing tens of thousands of dollars from nonprofits when he was a pull tab operator. Mr. Spicola pled guilty to 2 of those 18 charges. His conviction was more than 5 years ago, so he is certainly not automatically disqualified under 3 AAC 306-010D or AS 1738-200I. So I want to be very clear that this is not a situation of automatic disqualification for licensure. But I bring this to the board's attention because the crimes to which he was for which he was charged and the charges to which he pled guilty could be relevant to the board's assessment of whether licensing this individual is in the public interest. And in addition, Mr. Spicola owes a great deal of money to the state of Alaska. So he owes almost $120,000 for restitution and other court charges, and there were 18 charges filed against him, including 3 counts of commercial bribery, counts of scheming to defraud, 2 counts of falsifying business records. 16 of those charges were dismissed, and he pled guilty to misapplication of property valued over $500, which is a Class C felony, and theft in the second degree, when the value of property or services is between $500 and $24,999. This is listed as a Class C felony in statute, but was apparently reduced to a Class A misdemeanor. The individual at the municipality of Anchorage brought this to my attention at her director's direction because when this application came to the municipality, this name was very familiar to them due to issues and monetary issues that the city has had with this individual. So I felt it was my obligation to bring this to the board's attention.
And, okay, so have we issued this license?
No, this is a new application.
Okay, this is a whole new application, okay, and so that's why it's under board consideration, though.
Because this is an unusual, I could have left it just under the retail store section, but because this was a significant
Yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, is Studio 420 here? Studio 420, are you on the line? Okay, our standard practice is when an applicant is not here, we don't consider the license. We'll give them until Friday afternoon to show up, and then move it to Fairbanks. Okay, brings us to Barely Legal, license 16965.
Dana Wilson, attorney for Barely Legal. And I just wanted to, before we jump into the director's report, also note that name changes have been filed for both the retail and the cultivation. But you're welcome. We filed it too late for the staff to have a chance to update the tab because it was after April 12th, and I apologize for that. I brought copies.
Name 2.
Fourth Ave Cannabis Company. Better?
Sounds good to me.
Fourth Ave Cannabis Company. I brought copies too, if the board wants, copies of what we filed.
A cool question then, I guess, for staff. We can approve under this name, and then that becomes a delegated change.
Sure.
Change, make sure the license is issued to the current name.
To the new name, yes.
To the new name, thank you.
Yeah, I think we went over this application, didn't we, or did we?
No, I think you went over the retail application. That's when Mr. Jones voices concerns about the name, and I told him I would talk to my clients and try to get a better name.
I'm sorry, yeah, we're under new cultivation, yeah, that's right, that's right, okay, all right. Well then, let us consider. But yeah, where's your client? Oh, he's on the phone, okay. Good.
I'm on the phone here, Don Brooks.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
By yourself and...
Yes, sir, I'm Don Brooks, Barely Legal, Fourth Avenue Cannabis Company now.
But the entity name is still Barely Legal Inc., and Don is the president.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, where on 4th Avenue are you?
We are located directly behind Lucky Wishbone across the alley, and the last building headed down the hill before the jail down there.
Okay, right. And you want to have retail in the same location, right?
Yes, yes.
Just below Nick.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't going to say that.
I will.
Okay.
No, I know where.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Okay.
So one of the problems we were running into was parking.
Uh-huh.
And we are diligently working on that right now. We've got Thomas Falconberry reworking the parking based off of some 1986 site plan approvals, and we're resubmitting that as we speak.
And that's a municipality issue, just to meet the new Title 21 compliance.
Yeah, that would be a delegation thing. Okay. So, are you're just the general questions on the cultivation. Are you got some experience in large scale cultivation? I won't say large scale. But you got some experience in the cultivation of cannabis?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Many years of experience.
One scale or another, sure. Okay.
Yes.
And you got business experience as well?
My other partner has. My other partner does have another business that's fully functional and running for many years.
Okay, and the reason we ask this, for everybody is because especially large cultivation in downtown Anchorage is a expensive son of a gun, and so we don't want.
Yes, as we've been finding out.
Yeah, I'll bet. Okay. Have you done any interior work yet? Or you got hardware and stuff lined up to build out?
We have everything lined out as to what we're going to put in there, but we have not picked it up. We're waiting for the go ahead on the build out, essentially,
from the city.
Right, building permits and stuff.
Okay, all right. Okay, and you guys got some financial wherewithal to operate in between, just to get started off.
Yeah, but one partner is a teacher and he owns a laundry facility in town, and the other owner is working, his regular day job, and Don is focused on this, so they're pulling in income from other places.
Okay, that's cool. Good. All right, and I'll ask these questions now, so we have to ask when we get to the retail license too. So,
retail was already approved, that's
Oh, the
when
retail's approved. Oh,
yeah,
oh.
Mr. Jones noted his concerns.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
During
Oh,
that
that's where the name,
review.
yeah, that's where the name comes, yeah, right. Okay, what's your expectation about, loiterage?
Well,
You're on kind of a
That-
heavily trafficked path there.
yes, we are. Yes, we are. That's something that has been of concern. We plan on monitoring it with frequent walkthroughs and monitors upstairs everywhere, being able to basically monitor all the entryways.
And also installing a fence.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and tell us about waste. I'm looking at your waste disposal. You're gonna grind it up, you got a grinder already? You know what kind of grinder you're gonna get?
No, I actually haven't done that research yet.
You might wanna look at that because other licensees in high trafficked areas, have grinder issues, we won't go into anymore, so, yeah, make sure you've got a rock solid waste disposal problem, because you don't want people trying to rifle through your dumpster, right?
No, definitely not. No, that was one of our original big concerns. Yes, sir.
And then, being sort of downtown, because you got a two-headed sword on odor control. You don't want the neighbors to get pissed, and you don't want to seem too attractive, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so you'll be watching that close, and
Yes, we do have a very solid plan with odor control. Yes.
okay. How many employees you planning on having in the cultivate?
In the cultivation, we plan on being owner-operator. That's how we plan on doing the cultivation.
There's 3 of them, so, Lucas is intending to quit his day job and focus.
I'm just thinking of diversion and interior security and stuff.
Yep.
So just the 3 of you, then you should be good. And there won't be any particular, what's the word I'm looking for? I know the word I want to say, but, any communication between the retail and the cultivation. You're not going to have, apart from the owners, you're not going to have retail employees going back into the cultivate for anything like that.
Well, the retail is actually owned by the same entity,
Yeah,
so
right,
we were
right.
planning on cross-training retail
Really?
employees for
okay.
trimming
All right.
during, like, high-volume times like trimming.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Trying to twist my head around. Look at this picture here. So you actually share some hallway space between the
Right, 'cause
retail
it's
and
the same,
cultivate.
it's the same company.
All right. Yeah. All right. Okay. Anybody else got any questions?
More for staff, I guess. I think the director said we had made a regulation change that doesn't take effect for a while. So are we in a position here, like we did in February, that we uphold the protest, deny the license, and then put it in abeyance, or do we do an approval with delegation?
You will have to uphold the protest, deny the license, and put it in abeyance period. The regulation that allows you to approve with delegation becomes effective on May 9th.
Okay. So the question I have then is, in February, we put 120-day abeyance on the retail. Are these on any parallel track with the city, or are they going in it on
The same
totally
time.
different timeframes?
No, they're gonna go in the same time.
So if we did a 90-day abeyance on this, since back in February we did 120, or do we put 120 on this but 2 of those 3 months on a parallel track are already gone?
So 90 days, think of it this way, 90 days for me gives me 15 days to get the entire special land use completed application in, and that's not possible because we need to give 21 days notice and have a community council meeting. So I'm going to be asking for an extension in writing in the July meeting for the retail license because I need a little bit more time.
Okay. All right, then, I guess I will just, get a motion on the table here. I would move that, we, deny the license 16965, and uphold the protest from the municipality of Anchorage, and that we, put a 120-day abeyance on that, denial.
So Don, just so you understand, what they're really doing is approving license, but saying we have 120 days to sort out the special land use permit. And thank you for the board for letting me say that so my client isn't freaking out.
Okay, yeah, no, I understand that.
So, I just want to say, we usually pick up nice things to say about applications. You guys have got, like, world's record shortest lease.
That's because it's one of the owners. He owns the building.
Okay. All right, so the motion is to, deny the license, uphold the protest of municipality with, we say, 120 days abeyance?
Yes.
All right, we'll do roll call for the licenses. Okay, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
I'm a yes, so there you go.
Thank you.
All right, Mikey's Place.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
Good morning. Introduce yourselves to us and let us find
Morning,
your
ladies and gentlemen of
tab.
the board. We are Mikey's Place. My partner, Scott Eubanks, and myself, Peter Walsh,
Yeah, get a microphone.
and my lawyer representative.
Which one's the lawyer?
Actually, legal assistant, Mr. Wells had to step out and, participate in a court proceeding.
All right, okay. Okay, so this is, tab 47, for those of you keeping track at home. All right, so tell us what you have in mind here.
Well, we're located up in the Talkeetna Mountains, at a 3,000-foot level. Right now, it's still winter up there, and we're waiting for the sun to do a little work on us, help us out. But we have most everything framed in. We put the roof on the processing room. That's the next and then sheetrock it. We're dealing with the electrician this week. We should get the bid on it and the bid on the CIS security. And we're hoping to move forward with everything. And the fire marshal gave us approval about 3 weeks ago or so. And one of them was to do a little work with it, some tankage. And we're kind of like to know if we could get it 120 days before we're ready. We're not thinking we might not need that much, depending on the way the snow dissipates. But to get that tank moved out and around, we're asking for 120. But if we have a chance, we're going to try to call you early and set up the inspection.
Okay, do one of you guys own the property?
Scott owns the property.
Okay, all right. Is it residential property? It's kind of a grainy picture here.
Yeah, it's residential. We've got 3 large buildings on it. B is done. That's a 2,000 square foot building. And I live on site, so my closest neighbor is 8 miles away.
Okay. So, same questions for you fellas. You got any experience growing marijuana?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You guys are businessmen.
I've been running Raven since 1980.
Raven.
Constitution, Article 21. Raven.
Oh, RAVIN, yes, of course. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's going from that to a standard cultivation is a big jump. So you guys are both got the financial wherewithal to conduct business, right? I mean,
Yeah, no problem there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you just out there to meet the market demand there in the valley and points south and points north? No, I understand, but we just
we want to work on a premium product in the CBD field, as maybe touch a little bit on the THC, but we're looking into the CBD field. Move on with that later in the program.
Okay, so you guys got any intention in the future of applying for anything besides
yes, sir, that's correct.
cultivate?
Yeah, we wanna get going, wanna get our foot in the door, hopefully before maybe it gets to be, too much for everybody, and, so that's where we're at, and
Okay.
we would like to move forward.
Okay.
If possible.
All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I guess a question, and I'll look back to Brandon there, who's now hiding out in the back. CBD from marijuana, I thought was a difficult product to produce, and mostly CBD comes out of hemp, and we don't regulate that. So that's through the Department of Agriculture, so it bothers me a little bit that you're more interested in coming up with CBD products, because that's not what we license, that's not what we regulate now, the way the laws read.
Well, that's basically for a future thing, but we're going right now for, to make some money and help everybody else out of state as well as yourselves.
Okay, I understand, but I just wanted to have that question on the record.
There are, what I would call high CBD strains that have, maybe 4 or 5% THC and have 14, 15%. So it's being sold now. Some cultivators choose to focus on those strains, some don't. But we have them in our store today.
Yeah, it's you're not, I think maybe, not to speak for Mr. Jones, but I think he's kind of inferring wanting to grow high CBD flower to sell to a refiner as opposed to selling it as high CBD flower, which is a product.
A refiner, and possibly getting a refining license in the future. Yes.
Sure, but at this point, we know there's a market for high CBD flower.
Yes, sir, you're correct.
It's not the intent of our applicant to grow or produce industrial hemp.
No, I
rather
know
than
I know that too, and it's not really our bailiwick to, say, I was just wondering what market segment you were looking at, and most everybody says, we're gonna grow high-end
Well,
products.
as far as
That's fine,
indoor cultivation, we prefer that the state of Alaska don't do anything with the hemp to pollute the air so everybody gets pollinated. We don't want that.
Yeah, well, that's another department to go
Yeah,
talk to.
Just trying to talk.
Another department to talk to. Okay, are there any more questions about, this application?
I had one, and it's complicated because there's a couple other applications, and the way I read these, and they're not in the order that they're coming up. So my comment says, once again, I see this, but on page 2 of 11 on the MJ01, they've got a statement in here that basically says, and I gotta find the right spot because I just moved down. It says that, marijuana cultivation won't be open to the public. No tours or leisure visits are permitted within the licensed premises area or any portion of the licensed facility, including restricted areas. And then it goes on to a very lengthy description of what visitors have to comply with in order to visit. And several of the other boxes also describe all of the processes by which a visitor has to go through. But the first sentence, the first statement is there will be no visitors. So, staff needs to be aware of that, I think.
Inspectors or visitors.
And just needs to be clear. Maybe putting the word leisure in there is one thing, but I think enforcement, those kinds of things aren't really visitors. But when I see a statement that says this won't happen, and then they spend a lot of time describing exactly how it will happen, I think needs to just be pointed out for the record.
Sure, and I remember we had one licensee that had their propane tank inside the restricted area, and we said, well, gee whiz, does that mean that the fuel man's got to wear a badge to fill your propane tank? So we do require, everybody goes into a lot of detail about what their visitor process is going to be, whether or not they're going to, at least these guys are up front saying, yeah, we're not going to be a tourist trap. But, maybe they got to bring the electrician in, right? Maybe they got to bring in the plumber. So I don't think there's any conflict between them saying we're not going to be having casual visitors, but here is our, as required by regulation, description of how we're going to have visitors come in. Thank you. And our, enforcement, they just got to show you their badge to get in. But if I wanted to visit you, I'd have to fill in the log. I'm
Ron
chairman
will
of the
be
board,
here.
so.
You'll probably have to call us first, 'cause it's got a locked gate out.
Yeah, sure, there you go, yeah.
There's an appropriate way to explain all of that without first saying there won't be any visitors.
We'll make sure we get that rewarded.
Oh, yeah, and you're not the first ones to put it that way.
Well, we just wanna make sure we're
You bet.
covering all the details
Yeah.
that you guys are requiring.
Mhm.
Trying to, anyway.
All right. Could've just said we got a really big dog.
5 of them.
Yep.
5 of them, there we go. All right, any other questions, comments on this? Okay, we got a motion to approve license 19204.
Motion to approve license 19204, Mickey's Place LLC,
With delegation.
with delegation.
We have any delegation on this?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
If I could just interrupt for 1 minute, I'd like to introduce AMCO's administrative officer to you. She just walked in. This is Melissa Walter. Expect all of you have maybe talked or emailed with her.
Oh, maybe.
But it's always good to put a face to a name,
We send you our hotel receipts, right?
Yes.
Okay.
and we're very happy to have her on board.
You're our favorite person at AMCO, when the per diem checks come.
Thank you,
Great,
Mr. Chair.
welcome.
Mr. Chair, I think if you look at the director's memo, the protest period doesn't end till the 6th of June, or the 2nd of June, so there could be something, so I think we do need to put it in delegated status.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was just wondering what the delegation was gonna be, so. All right, we got a motion. I guess we'll vote Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Miller.
Yes.
I'm a yes, so there you go. Good luck.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day.
Yep, you too. Okay, High Vibes LLC. See if they're on the phone.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Marijuana Control Board calling High Vibes LLC.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Okay, wonderful. Go ahead and, introduce yourself to us for the record.
Yeah, my name is Justin Hocklander. I will be the owner of High Vibes LLC, or am the owner.
All right. Okay, in North Pole.
Correct.
Oh, what, North Pole doesn't allow, retail they don't allow in North Pole?
So we're in Fairbanks Borough.
Right.
So I'm not in North Pole.
You're not,
I'm about
not city, okay, gotcha.
7 miles before North Pole.
Okay. Oh. 7 miles before North Pole, that puts you up by, what, Badger Road?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm on frontage.
All right, well, tell us what you got in mind here.
Yeah, so we'll be running a standard cultivation. And we will be cultivating indoor. It's an indoor facility. We will be doing a hydro grow. And we will be using rock wool as medium. Pretty simple. I've been helping out other cultivations before this, so I'm experienced in cultivating. So I've been involved in this industry since about 2016 now.
Okay, who owns the property you're on, that you're leasing?
Canyon Properties?
Yeah, Canyon, are you connected with them, or? Folks, please turn off the music, thank you. Yeah, I guess you must be. Okay.
Well,
No,
can you hear me?
somebody else has it on hold, yeah, let me just, all right.
Yeah, someone's got the music on.
Yeah, you know what, we're gonna disconnect and call back.
Okay, I'll call back.
Yeah, thanks.
Welcome to the GCI Conference Center. Thank you. Please stand by. If you are the chairperson, press the star key now. Your conference will begin when the chairperson arrives. Please wait. You will now be placed into conference. There are 9 participants in the conference.
Hello?
Okay, Mr. Hochland, are you back?
Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, so you're leasing from, somebody-
North Canyon Properties LLC.
And, okay, but, all right, but you're a sole proprietorship?
Correct.
Okay, what's the, how's the market looking to you for a new standard cultivate in Fairbanks? It's gonna...
It looks good. Like I said, I have experience. I've worked with Frontier Grow Labs for over a year now. So I'm very familiar with the market. You know, I go to Fairbanks, the Fairbanks Marijuana Association meetings. I'm very in network with the industry at this point.
Okay. Do you have any business experience yourself? I mean, you're a sole proprietorship, so you don't have anybody else in here as having financial interest in your business, so we're assuming this is all coming out of your pockets.
Correct.
You got some business experience, or you work on
Yes.
the or what, you know?
Yes, I do. I've ran, prior to living in Alaska, I've ran and owned my own construction company. I've remodeled motels. I've worked with investors on properties.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. That's good.
I own
that's
a...
good. Yeah, we don't need need
Okay.
your CV, but that's good. Yep. No,
Okay.
just you know, like I said, we try to, you know, look out for applicants as much as
Sure.
you know, prudent. So,
Right.
okay, that sounds good. So you're in here. You got the wherewithal. How long you been in Alaska?
I've been here, I touched down 2015, the winter, and then I started staying here 2016.
So you got a couple of dividend checks.
I've had one so far, and I will receive my second one this year.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I had a question on the premises diagram. The access to, I guess it's a partial second floor for like a balcony. You show both interior and an exterior doors or stairs. Is the main access interior or exterior?
So there's a stairway outside, which can be accessed through the outside. That's existing, and then we will have a stairway from one of the cure rooms coming down into the hallway in the cultivation.
Okay. And then on the description, on the MJ02, page 2, it says total square footage of the facility is on the main floor and a space upstairs that contains 800 square feet of veg mother rooms. But on the premises diagram, the upstairs is shown as the dry cure rooms and trimming rooms. So the diagram doesn't match the description that you put on the MJ04. And
are we talking about the MJ04 page?
Yeah, the MJ04, page 2 of 7. And that description there does not match the description that you put on the premises diagram on what's upstairs. In the description, you say veg mother. On the actual diagram itself, you say they're dry cure rooms.
So total square footage is 32 on the main floor, and the upstairs contains 800 square feet. So I'm not saying the veg room is upstairs. I am just saying there is 3,200 on the main floor and 800 above. The veg room is on the main floor, if we can refer to the drawings here real quick and you grab these, we'll be glad to clarify this for you.
Okay.
So if you look at diagram 1, it says bedroom on the main floor drawing, and that's where the bedroom will be. So solely upstairs, if you look at the second floor diagram 1, it clearly states the dry room and trimming area.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, any other questions? Got a motion to approve license 19485.
Motion to approve license 19485.
Delegation.
High Vibes LLC with delegation.
All right, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Miller? Yes. And I'm a yes, so there you go.
Thank you.
Good luck. Okay,
Appreciate
new
it.
limited cultivation facility applications, Family Trees. Family Trees. Okay, Family Trees, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Mr. Abrams?
Yep, Spencer Abrams with
Okay,
Family
go ahead
Tree.
and introduce yourself to us. So which one are you? There's three of you.
I am Spencer Abrams, Family Tree
Spencer,
LLC.
Okay, very good. Great. Go ahead and give us an idea of what you got in mind here.
Yeah, basically we're turning the part of the bottom floor of a residence my father owns into a limited grow facility in Two Rivers, Alaska, which is halfway between Fairbanks and Chena Hot Springs.
Okay, so your father's still living in there?
No. Actually, I live there on site. He's Thomas Abrams. He's one of the other owners.
All right. Okay, I'm just looking at your drawing here. Okay, I see. So you don't really delineate the use of any of the rooms on here on your diagram. The surveillance room, you got some bench work, but it doesn't say.
Oh, sorry. The three larger rooms are going to be the flower room, and the smaller room between the two rooms on the north side, that's going to be our veg room. And then the dry cure room is going to be on what would be the west side of the house.
Okay, one of our delegations is going to be that you provide a, good annotated drawing. Of course, they're gonna need that. Or did they provide? You provided one that's got your security details on it, right? Did you give us don't they give us a separate diagram with cameras and stuff on it now?
No, we don't ask them for camera placement anymore. A, because it's sort of a security issue, and B, because the enforcement works with them to make that right.
Okay. Yeah, so, if you get approved here, then we'll want you to give a good detailed, description of these rooms on the diagram.
Okay.
And let's see, so small cultivate, you got some experience cultivating marijuana?
I do.
Okay.
A little bit of them out.
A little bit, yeah. Good. So one of the things that really bites small cultivators, of course, is taxes. You got some liquidity to get you through the first harvest or two?
I do, yes. Yeah, I'm not paying anything substantial as far as the lease or rent goes, so shouldn't be a problem.
All right. Okay, and get an idea of what market segment you want to go after?
Yeah, like you said earlier, I'd like to grow the highest quality I can. But I guess everyone says that.
Yeah, I haven't heard anybody come in yet saying, yeah, I'm just going to grow some ditchweed. Okay, very good. All right, anybody got any questions for the applicant? Okay, we have a motion to approve license 15501 Family Trees.
Motion to approve license number 15501, Family Trees.
Delegation. With delegation. Okay, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller? Yes. And I'm a yes, so there you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, Aurora Development, Group. You got somebody on the phone?
Dana Welty, attorney for Aurora Development, Inc., and yes, Nat, which his full name is hard for me to pronounce, but so I say Nat, is on the line too.
Yes.
Okay, let's find him, okay, Nat, you with us?
Yes, hi, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Natipon Navashai, and I'm owner of Aurora Development Group.
Okay, and you got Ms. Welty here representing you?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and tell us what you're going to do here.
Okay, yes, we are working on a limited marijuana cultivation facility. We are turning our 1,500 square footage garage to a restricted area, and we have a veg room and grow room, and we are aiming to grow like everybody else, the high quality marijuana to Fairbanks market and hopefully in the state of Alaska.
Okay, Mr. Wynn is your partner in this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is your house?
Yes.
Or what?
The house is owned by Equinox Development, Inc., and it's a company.
All right, I'm just wondering who's living in it.
Scott will be living in the living quarters.
Okay, all right. All right, no kids?
No kids.
Okay. All right. Okay, and whereabouts in town are you?
We're just about 5 miles on Chinook Road.
Did you say which road? Sorry, you cut out.
We're down on about 5 to 10 miles down Chinook Spring Road, and it's off of Funk.
Okay, very good. Any questions for the applicant?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
On the MJ04, page 4 of 7, it goes through your waste disposal plan, which I didn't have any trouble with. The only concern I had was next to the last statement, sort of where you have dashes. You talk about the THC containing trimmings will be sold to a licensed product manufacturer. I don't think that's waste disposal. That's just a normal routine business. If you're going to waste it, that'd be one thing, but I'm not sure that necessarily belonged in there. I think those are the kind of products that you need to be careful of because that will affect your tax rates, exactly how that gets sold, so that really shouldn't be in the waste disposal plan. Because it's not waste.
I agree.
It's taxable.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else? Okay, get a motion for license 15557.
Motion to approve license 1557, Aurora Development Group with delegation.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing any, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Go.
Hello.
All right,
Thank you for your
Red
time.
Fox Farms. Turn the phone off.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
Good morning. Okay, got hit the microphone there.
James Parker, owner of Red Fox Farm.
Okay, cool. All right, so what do you got in mind here?
So I got a limited cultivation out in Wasilla on my residential property.
You got a green thumb?
I do.
Let's see it. Okay. So your residents, you got kids or anything there living with you?
I do.
Okay, so you're keeping them out?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, we ask that question, especially on these residential ones. Is this building attached to the house?
No, sir.
Yeah, I see a little bit of a space there, okay. All right. What sort of, is this just one-man show, or one, you and somebody else, or?
Just one-man show.
Correct. All right. You got some business experience?
I have a little bit. I have a lot of family that does.
Yeah, okay. I mean, again, it's just mostly to be able to keep track of keep your taxes paid. You know, hopefully you'll be successful as heck, and that first harvest will fly out the door, and, you know, you'll, have a lot of expenses to meet. And,
yep.
Like they were saying yesterday, you go and pay that zero tax first, and you'll get a welcome to the industry packet from
looking for
the Department of Revenue, yeah. Okay. All right. So you're, kind of out in the middle of nowhere here, huh? Okay, any other questions for the applicant? You talked to other small growers and get an idea of what people are up against, what's working good for them?
Yes, sir. I've been keeping in touch.
Okay, good deal. All right, we'll get a motion for license.
Motion to approve license 17778, Red Fox Farms with delegation.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
I'm a yes, so there you go.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, Green Acres 907. Good morning.
Good morning. Jana Waldstein, attorney for Green Acres 907.
David Cooper, owner, operator for Green Acres 907 LLC.
Okay. And, tell us what you're all about.
Got a small cultivation, off of Big Lake. It's in a building separate from the house that we're living in on 4 acres. Pretty, remote, no road system in there.
But there's a boat system.
There's both.
I was gonna say, you get there by boat or what?
Boat, ice road walk. I got my car parked right now since we don't have the boat.
Okay, so you're like what is this, a remote cabin site or something?
It's the house.
State or, it's a house, but I mean, you're...
Yeah, it's remote.
Yeah, okay, all right, cool.
For security purposes primarily.
Yeah. You got some neighbors there, but there's
nobody lives there.
There's no roads to get, only way you can get in there is like with a floatplane or a boat or to walk.
Boat, ice road. We have an ice road during the winter.
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, so, you ever cultivated marijuana before?
I have.
Okay.
I also have a grower that is working with me.
Okay. And got some business expertise?
Got 30 years in the oil industry, procurement, construction.
All right.
And his son is a coach for the Denver Broncos, so that's pretty cool.
Oh, really? Is that a baseball team?
Yeah, that's a baseball.
I like baseball.
No. Son is not at all involved in the operation.
Yeah, and there's no media listening in on this teleconference either. Okay, is there any questions for Green Acres 907 LLC?
I made a mistake on this, and my client, after we got the incomplete letter, he said, why don't you remove CO2, because we're not going to do it, and if we ever decide to do it, we'll amend it and go back. And I said, okay, got it, I'm going to do that. I didn't do that, so I need to, I know, I need to remove it, and then as a delegate, if you could add that as a delegation, that would be good, because I wanted to match the fire marshal submission.
Okay, well, you said, and that would have been gas CO2?
Yeah, CO2,
okay,
yeah.
So.
It's not actually going to have CO2.
Right, I mean, all you got to do is put a hot air furnace in there. Okay.
You preempted my question.
Yeah. All right,
motion to approve license 19466, Green Acres 907, with delegation to update the application to remove the CO2.
All right, Mr. Jones. Yes. Mr. Miller? Yes. And I'm a yes, so there you go.
Thank you.
Brings us to Goldstream Cannabis Annex.
Jan Waldstein, attorney for Goldstream Annex.
Carolyn Dobbs, owner, Goldstream Ground LLC.
Good morning. Let's see. Computers don't work as fast as we think. It's the other way around. Okay. So, Dobbs? Yeah, go ahead and fill us in on what you got in mind here.
I'm gonna start a limited cultivation facility for now and try to produce some high-quality, clean cannabis for consumers.
So she's out near Blue Loon, in the same, I guess not really a strip mall, but same little complex as the distilling company that's out there. Obviously, no overlapping in premises. She's a little bit sick, so that her voice is kind of gone. But so she's just doing a limited, and she's been working previously for a commercial grower, so she's got good commercial experience.
Mr. Chair? Just a couple of general questions. I mean, I thought the application was fine, but I looked up the distillery, noticed that they have pretty active tasting rooms. Down in Juneau, we have issues with that. But when this business, being even a cultivation, we worry about loitering. But hanging around the outside of a distillery tasting room, will be right in front of your business. I mean, so, hopefully you'll put up notices that, people hanging around the distillery are gonna get videotaped by the marijuana business. Combining those two kinds of things with the loitering issue of, how do you define loitering? What are some of the issues? Because it's pretty active hours of tasting rooms. And it wasn't really as highlighted in the, in the narrative as I think it ought to be. But the distillery products look pretty good to me.
Actually, the entrance to my cultivation will be on the side of the building where there is there's nobody ever out there with drinks or anything like that. So it's not near the entrance.
But if they go outside to smoke or they do other things, they wander around. I mean,
right.
Yeah. So lots of extra cameras and lots of extra
we may have to check it out in July.
And you can come check it out in July.
Well, are you thinking all about catering to the visitor trade? Being a tourist stop, not selling, but come see a genuine.
Okay. Not in that location.
Okay.
We hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Okay. We have. All right. So you're actually in the same building as the distillery.
Yes, sir.
Okay. A little hard to glean here. So you worked in a commercial grow, so you know a little bit about cultivating marijuana.
And metric.
Okay, and you're a sole proprietorship?
Yes, sir.
She's the sole owner of the LLC.
Okay, yeah, and I see it's another extremely short lease. One page.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the amendment.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, actually,
that's the amendment.
Really short, 2 pages.
Amendment's really, yeah. You don't have an ownership interest in the whole building, do you?
No, not at this point.
All right. Okay. You got the financial wherewithal to get yourself kicked off and through the first couple of harvests and pay your taxes and.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Any other questions? Okay. We get a motion on license 19473.
Motion to approve license number 19473, Goldstream Cannabis Annex with delegation.
Okay, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so there you go.
Thank you
so much.
You're very welcome. Okay, Highliner Crafts, LLC in Ketchikan.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Okay, Highliner Craft LLC, are you with us?
Yes, we're here. We've got all
Okay,
three
right on.
owners here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Okay, go ahead and, introduce yourselves to us.
Okay, I'm Andrew Burton. We've got A.J. Robinson and Trent Headley here as well, all three of us. Good morning. Morning.
All right, good morning. So, tell us what you got in mind.
Okay, we've got a small, limited cultivation operation in, about 7 miles north of Ketchikan in the borough, located in an industrial area, near the trooper station there. And you can see, you know, in our docket, the diagram, it's a pretty small operation with one main flowering room downstairs, a small bedroom upstairs, along with the office, workspace, pure space, storage as well. We're using LED light. We're going the living soil style route, and we do have some potential partners, buyers already lined up here in town.
Okay, you guys businessmen down there in Ketchikan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And you got some experience growing marijuana, you know what this is all about?
We do, yeah, all three of us.
Okay. Oh, you're gonna be using rainforest rain, you know, just
exactly.
a long time ago, somebody in Sitka need to bottle that stuff and put a warning label, not for children and small pets. So I think you got a hook there.
Yeah.
You got a hook there. Okay. Make any questions, comments as we're through here? Is this a standalone building? Is it?
It is.
Okay. Okay, anybody else got any questions? Comments? Motions?
Motion to approve license number 19532, Highliner Crafts LLC.
Okay. Any other comment on the motion? Okay, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
And I'm a yes, so there you go.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome. Okay, Canna Trader. All right, turn the phone off.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
Good morning.
James Hess with Canna Trader LLC.
Okay. Go ahead and, while we're open the tab up, go ahead and give us the elevator talk.
Well, I already own a standard cultivation out in Houston that I've been operating for about a year and a half, so I'm very familiar with all the rules, regulations, paying my taxes, all that. And my daughter and her husband just bought a commercial building in Anchorage that had been firebombed, for lack of a better term, and they're rebuilding it. And they have an upstairs office area that they won't be using. And so I said, hey, if I just do a limited cultivation there, and they said, okay, here we are.
Okay, well, that might pay the rent. All right. Been doing good with your standard cultivation?
I think so, yes. Still there, still paying the taxes.
There you go. Yeah. What are you gonna be doing differently here? You're just gonna different strains and.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a small operation.
Yeah.
I hate to use the word hobby, but it would kind of be that.
Sure. Give you a chance to try new things, huh?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I had a couple of questions. The diagrams show that, you know, like you said, this is an upstairs portion of a pretty large warehouse.
Yes.
And it shows that it's Anchorage Brochure Distribution.
Yes.
Is that the company that's in there? Because when I Googled Anchorage Brochure Distribution, I got a totally different address on their website.
That's because they've been leasing. I owned that company for almost 10 years, and we leased, and I sold it to my daughter and her husband, and they've been leasing, and we've always been looking for a building, and this firebombed building came up, and so they've been rebuilding it. I think their lease where they're at is up at the end of June, and they're hoping to move into this building, which on that note, I would like to have, I know there'll be an abeyance because we are just now starting in the city of Anchorage. But they're hoping to have their certificate of occupancy by the end of May, but they just told me this morning that supplies that came in to finish it were wrong again. It'll be another 3 weeks before the new supplies come in. So I have to coordinate with them to make sure they have their certificate of occupancy before I can continue.
And that's good. I appreciate that answer. Also, on the MGO4, a lot of discussion about carbon filters and ducting air. And since this building's rebuilt, are you going to have a separate system for the carbon filters from the entire warehouse, so that just this part will have almost a separate ventilation type system?
Yes,
so that you're not sharing. I'm just worried about, odors back and forth or whatever.
Right, that is a concern. So this will have its own ventilation system directly out with the carbon filters.
Okay, and that's part of what's being built in and...
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions? And what is the building shaped up now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right, very good.
It's the siding that just came in, which holds up the electrician.
All right, so there's a protest still. Okay, so we will then, the motion would be to, deny the application, to uphold the protest, with 120 days advance. That's all. That's do it for you.
We hope so.
120 days, and delegation. Sound about right? He's got a better memory than you.
Mr. Chair, I would move that the board deny the license 19737, uphold the protest from the municipality of Anchorage, and institute a 120-day abeyance.
With delegation.
With delegation.
All right. Okay, we got a motion,
I'm not sure you can do a delegation and an abeyance, so I'm gonna leave it at abeyance.
I think what the board has done in the past is expressed that should the protest be lifted, the application would go into delegated status for any other outstanding issues.
That sounded intentional there, Mr. Jones.
Yep.
Okay. All right, then we'll vote. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Yes, so there you go. That made sense to you, right?
Oh, yeah.
Understood all that.
And if I can make a request, I'm also on tab 83. It's a small change out at my Houston, and I believe the director brought it up in her report as far as the how specific you want to be on nutrients. And on my original application out in Houston, we were very specific. We said we were going to use a certain brand of nutrients. Now, a year and a half later, there's obviously a lot more, and I contacted the staff and asked if I just want to change nutrients, do I have to pay the $250 and go through all this? And the answer was, yes, you do. So, to avoid that trap, this time, I think I've made it pretty generic. I've listed a lot of them, but also tried to make it more generic, both on my Houston operation and this one. And that's what I wanted to see if we could discuss that now rather than way down on tab 83.
Well, as fast as we're going here, we may be tab 83 before we know it. Can we just wait on that? I mean, I know we jumped one guy, but he's catching a plane. So I don't think it's going to take too long to get there. And it doesn't look like a real difficult issue anyway. And so
I don't think
if you want to leave and phone it in or something, or somebody can call you when we're getting there, we can do that too.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. So I just want to keep getting through here, see who else we get done by lunch. We actually might get the last two done. Okay, Danny's Place from Kenai.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
Okay, we are looking for Danny's Place from Soldotna. Tab number 56. Danny's Place out there? That would be Ronald Pritchard. Okay, we'll try to come back to him. Yeah, well, we may get tab 83.0. Okay, Snow Lotus Gardens. All right.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
Good morning. Go ahead and turn the microphone on and introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Dwayne Larson.
My name is Holly Rudder Larson.
And what can we do for you?
We are looking to start a limited cultivation facility.
Wasilla?
In Wasilla, yes, sir.
Okay. It's in your garage or your kitchen or?
No, it's in a building that's already been established for several years. Green Degree is on one side of the building. They've got a manufacturing facility just down from them, another cultivator, and the testing facilities right next door to us.
The regular cannabis campus, huh?
It almost looks like a good opportunity.
There you go. Well, I hope it is. So tell us about you guys selves. You got some experience in the cannabis cultivation industry?
Just personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
No commercials,
like 500 square feet, right?
Yeah. Just start small and see where it goes.
Sure. Okay. And you got some business experience?
Yes, sir. Ran restaurants for over 9 years.
Have the wherewithal to pay yourselves and pay
budgets
your taxes.
And oh yeah.
All right, good. Is there any room left in that building now?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Is there any room left in that building now?
No. Not anymore, not after us.
This is kind of, so how many, just two separate licenses in there, or?
There will be the third cultivator in that
You'll be
same
the
building.
third cultivator.
Yes, sir.
Pretty unique situation. Okay.
It's a nice little space.
I'll bet. Any questions for the applicant? Okay, do we have a motion for license 20642?
Motion to approve license 20642, Snow Lotus Gardens with delegation.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
I'm a yes, so there you go.
Thank you guys very much.
All right, try Danny's place one more time.
The conference is no longer in listen-only mode.
As the Marijuana Control Board, we are looking for Danny's place. Well, maybe so. All right. Okay, it's 10 till, here, you know what, let's do tab 83. Yeah, we'll do your tab 83 right now, real quick.
The conference is now in listen-only mode.
Okay.
Test with AK Funding LLC this time.
All right. Okay, so this is just an amendment to the operating plan.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Going back to what I talked about in my director's report, at 3 AAC 306-420, says an applicant for a new standard marijuana cultivation facility license or a limited marijuana cultivation facility license must file an application on a form the board prescribes, including the proposed marijuana cultivation facility's operating plan, including in addition to the information required under 306-020, fertilizers, chemicals, gases, and deliver systems, including carbon dioxide management, to be used. And so again, the question is, how specific of information do you want regarding the fertilizers, chemicals, gases, and this really needs a regulation project because it's very terribly worded. So how specific, and what, is it limited only to the application, to the plants? Does it also relate to cleaning the facility, and not related to Mr. Hess's situation, but cleaning of product manufacturing equipment? Thanks.
And what precipitated the question about like cleaning chemicals, cleaning products?
I mean, it's certainly come up in discussions at the staff level of, are we looking for, we want to be able to evaluate all chemicals stored in the facility with chemicals approved to be stored in the facility by the board, which could include cleaning chemicals, or are we looking only in relation to what is being used, applied to the plants in that situation? In the product manufacturing facility, I mean, I've definitely heard anecdotally about situations where chemicals used to clean extraction equipment can leave a residue that can show up in future, in concentrates made subsequently.
Okay. All right, well, as far as the cultivate is concerned, I mean, we regulate the cultivation, not the floor mopping. The operating plan doesn't even discuss that. You know, and, I mean, I don't think guys can be dumping muriatic acid on the floor to...
No, and sorry, here we're getting a little off track. But I would be okay if they just put that they're using whatever's on the approved list from DEC. And I think the fire department, when they did my inspection, asked about the chemicals and cleaning materials.
So DEC only has an approved list for pesticides. So there are things that are chemicals, fertilizers, and et cetera, that are not pesticides. And the regulations refer to those things. So DEC, that list, again, it's only pesticides.
So, all right, let's get to what tab 89 is. Your change is what? For tab 83, sorry.
Tab 83, I just, basically we want to change the nutrients and possibly the grow medium from clay pellets to cocoa. And that's basically it.
Okay, all right.
But it appears to have opened a little can of worms here.
Well, yeah, so, okay, light nutrient solution based on advanced nutrients and general hydroponics. Chemicals are not used as pesticides. So, here's grow medium. So you're going to use rock wool, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that means you don't have to worry about roots as waste. Okay, those other issues are something that, again, I've started using the term best practices. That's something for the industry to collectively think about. Is about issues like cleaning refinery equipment and stuff. Okay, is there a motion on?
Motion to approve
operating plan change.
Operating plan change for license 13588 LLC.
Okay, any other questions, discussion on this one? Not hearing any. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you.
You bet.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Based on that action,
Yeah.
my understanding is that the board is directing the staff that there do not need to be specific chemicals listed, and that an applicant can say, we're going to use some chemicals, they could be from these companies, they could be these types of,
Well, he was talking about fertilizer. He was talking about growth medium and fertilizer.
Which are chemicals.
Well, they are, but when somebody says chemicals, fertilizer and chemical don't necessarily flash the same light, at least not in my head. Fertilizers, I think if you look at the fertilizer bag, it probably has an EPA label on it. Likelihood, it's probably been through some sort of I don't want to say legit or not legit, but it's been tested. People are not putting fertilizers on food products or on cannabis that might necessarily be hazardous.
And I am not arguing one way or the other. I'm just trying to make sure that my staff understands what you want them to do.
Yeah, I don't think we need to get too concerned about fertilizer uses. I don't think come in and say, yeah, this is generally the brand I'm gonna use. You know, it doesn't get into the growth stream of the plant. It facilitates the growth of the plant, but it doesn't get, you know, if you're using common manure for fertilizer, your product's not gonna taste like common manure.
So, may I suggest at some point, maybe not today, but that the board consider a regulations project to work on this
no problem. That's no problem. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, okay, let's be nice to ourselves and knock off and come back, 1 or thereabouts, so that...
The chairperson has disconnected. The conference will now end.